Let me set the scene for you. About a month ago, I got invited to a Canon event on behalf of George's Cameras to check out the new Canon EOS R. We went to Jervis Bay, which was a place about a couple hours drive from Sydney, and we got to spend about 2 days with the EOS R on a farm. Now, they had a bunch of different activities where we got to try out the EOS R in various locations like low light performance, speed, blah 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 blah. And to be honest, besides their Rethink Mirrorless campaign, I was pretty impressed. Now, I personally am a Canon shooter since about a month ago, where I switched from Sony to a Canon C200, which I'm shooting on now. Now, as soon as I made the jump over to Canon, I had a quick realization of what am I going to use as a second camera. I was looking at the 5D4, but personally, I don't really want to go for a DSLR, as one, I already have the C200 to carry around, and two, if I'm not using it as a second camera or to take a few photos for a job or here and there, I would rather a small camera to travel, which the 5D4 doesn't really fit the bill. And the 62 was the next option, but it doesn't really have as many video features, plus it is also large. So when the EOS R came out, I was pretty open-minded to what it offered. Before the event, I didn't really check out any of the spec sheets or anything, so going into it, I was pretty oblivious. Starting off with the things I like about the EOS R, firstly, it has C-Log, which is awesome, so I can match it with the Canon C200 pretty seamlessly. Secondly, it has built-in time-lapse. Now, if I was to purchase a camera, I would want it to have built-in time-lapses, as that's something that I actually started on when I was getting into photography and filmmaking, so I would love the camera to have that feature. Fourthly, like any Canon fanboy would say, the colors are good. They're in the EOS R. It's a Canon camera, so they won't be missing out on that, as well as continuous AF. Lastly, something that has come to light more so than others is actually a sharpness comparison between an A7 III and an EOS R. Turns out EOS R is sharper in 1080p and a fraction possibly in 4K. Now onto the stupid things. Firstly, this isn't even on my script. When I first picked up the camera, using that touch thing was really stupid. To be honest, I don't think it's very innovative. It's kind of opposite to innovative because it didn't really work seamlessly. Like, it's not like Apple, how when they integrated the swipe up feature, like everyone found it super easy to get a hold of. This thing is kind of like going out of your way to kind of use this feature. I forgot totally that it crops at 4K prior to the event, so when I first picked up the camera, I was like, this is an amazing camera. But then my friend told me that it crops at 4K, and I was like, oh. However, to back that up, it does shoot 4K at 480 megabits per second, which is pretty cool, but it is a bummer how it does crop. Talking about slow motion, it does have 120 frames at 720p. I don't think anyone like willingly uses 720p or views a video in 720p. Prior to shooting this video, I actually watched Kai's review on the EOS R, and he shed light on like random things I wouldn't have ever tried, which was it doesn't shoot 1080p 60 frames with an EF lens. It just gets grayed out, which I didn't try at the event, but that is just stupid. But what's still making me consider this camera is DSLR Video Shooter's video, which I'll link in the description. He talked about if the EOS R wasn't full frame and it was an APS-C size sensor, would we still be this unhappy with it? And he put it up against a GH5S and a EOS R. He put down the specs. They both don't have IS. They both shoot 400 plus megabits per second. They both have great colors, and they both have a log format, but even the EOS R has great autofocus compared to the GH5S, and they're both running at a similar price point. And to the last fatal truth, what other camera has C-Log that's that small? Pretty much none. Bonus round. Should you buy a Canon EOS R for video? I personally think it's not that bad, especially when you compare it to a GH5S versus the Canon EOS R. But then in saying that, the GH5S did come out a little bit ago. However, I'd say figure out if that slow motion is really crucial to you, having 120 FPS, then this is probably the camera you shouldn't go for. If you have a lot of Canon EF lenses and you want to shoot predominantly video, until they fix that 1080p 60 FPS kind of feature with a firmware update or something, this camera is probably not for you either. Maybe they might release a second one that apparently, actually, they are looking to release a Pro version. This is just rumors, I think, but apparently they're supposed to release a better version of it later in 2019, so maybe even wait out for that one. Actually, that's what I might do. But anyways, thanks for watching again. Stay up to date, links below, and yeah, I'll talk to you later.